Hello my friends, and welcome back to Slay the Spire 2. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're playing the Defect. You've seen me climb with this character previously, so today we're going to take my first crack at Ascension 10. This is my first Ascension 10 run with the Defect. I had some early struggles with this character, but I think I've mostly figured out what I was doing wrong, so let's try to put that into practice and see if we can beat the hardest difficulty. We're jumping in here, and let's see what we've got from Neow. Alright, so there's these are all great options. I think these are all some of the strongest possible Neow buffs. New Leaf is, I think, not as good as the Transform 1 Strike and 1 Defend, but lose some max HP one, but it doesn't come with a cost. So I would rather take that one over this one, but still, a Transform is very powerful. Remove 2 cards from your deck, also really powerful. Now, losing 16 HP is a huge cost. Especially for the Defect, which can struggle not to take damage early on. And Golden Pearl is always very solid, especially because card removal is now more expensive. So in order to remove 2 cards during Act 1, you usually need to find some extra gold. Let's take a look at our path here, because if there's an early shop, I'm more inclined to take the gold. I'm not loving the options we have for pathing here. And it looks like if I want an early shop, I have to take a hard mode hallway fight, but this would be our 4th hallway fight. So probably the gold is not where we're gonna end up. This shop also requires another hard mode fight. So I think we will just take New Leaf here. It looks like a fairly difficult track, so I don't want to lose 16 HP, because we'll need that health for a relatively hard map. And we can't use the gold as easily, so we're going to transform, and we'll just transform one of our strikes. Transforms are always good early. Not only do they, sort of by definition, change a card into a more powerful card, increasing the density of power in your deck, they also give you, wow, what a good transform. They also give you a lot of direction for how you're going to build your deck. So that is, I think, more powerful than people give it credit for as well, because it gives you an idea of what you're looking for. Defragment, one of the Defect's best cards overall, so we're obviously thrilled to find that this early. We're going to be looking for Frost and Glass Orbs, especially, to go with it. Looking at our path here, we have this path or this path are kind of identical. I think I would probably rather do the 3 fights and then an event, just because it gives me a little bit more information for what we're deciding on when we get to the event. And then we're likely going to go to the left here. That means 2 elite fights. And then we would take 3 elite fights, which is a little risky to commit to. 1 hard mode hallway fight, 3 elite fights if I take this path, but we get a shop. We get 2 campfires before the last one. So that looks like a pretty solid option. I could take this fight as well and then go down this path. So that gives me some extra events. It still gives us a shop, but I don't think I like that as much. So it looks like the path that we're going to choose is we're going to go, we'll zigzag through here, go off to the left, and then back off to the right. And if I'm feeling like I'm too weak to take another elite fight, I can maybe go to the left here. Or we can go up the middle here, though none of these paths are that safe, so I think we're just going to have to get strong enough to fight some elites early. Let's get into it. Alright, so the Corpse Slug here, we're going to take 1 damage just because of how we drew cards, but let's go Defend, Zap, and Dual Cast. Dual Cast is worth 5 turns of passive damage from Lightning Orbs, so it's always good to play it. Here, I kind of just need to block for 15, though, because we're getting the double attack from the Corpse Slugs. Oh, except that we're fragile, so I can't do that. So this is going to be a rough turn for us, with no ability to kill one of the Corpse Slugs, so we're going to take a bunch of damage. This Corpse Slug fight, I think, is overall very hard for the Defect, especially because the attack patterns are random on them, so you can end up just taking a lot of damage. Do I want to set up Defragment, or do I just play 9 block? I think we just play 9 block here. And then this turn, I'm going to play Defragment and Dual Cast, and then if the orb hits the right one at least once, then we would get to kill it with just a strike. So that more or less guarantees that we can kill it. Then I have 14 incoming damage, which I can just block all of, trying to reroll into more damage here. Rough starting fight, of course, but that's how it happens sometimes. And we did minimize the damage that we took, despite having a slightly difficult roll. Alright, let's go ahead and take our potion. Nice to have one of those, especially because we're going to be fighting a lot of elites. Two of my favorite cards available in this card reward here. Cool-Headed is extremely good, super powerful with Defragment as well, because the block that you get from the Frost Orbs is excellent, and it upgrades really well because you can draw extra cards. Charge Battery, I think, is one of the Defect's most important cards, giving you a good source of block, which this character can really struggle with otherwise, and the extra energy makes your future turns better. But I think the first Cool-Headed is so important to the functioning of the Defect that we're almost always going to take that when we see it. Alright, Toadpole's also a pretty difficult enemy here. Let's go ahead and play Cool-Headed to get some block, and then I can play Defend. I think we probably have to take 1 damage, and I'll set up Zap this turn, because otherwise we're going to end up not being able to kill one of these enemies. This turn, I can go Dual Cast, and we will do that, and we'll see what takes the most damage. Then I can just do Defend, Defend, and block all of this damage thanks to the Frost Orb. Here I can go... I could dual cast the Frost Orb, so that would be 12 block total if I play Defragment first, or 10 if I don't. I could go Strike on this Toadpole. I could strike it twice, hoping that we... Or I could strike it once, and then take a 50-50 on killing it with Lightning Orb. I could strike it twice, and then just use Dual Cast and take 2 damage from this Toadpole. I could also play Cool-Headed and hope to draw into... I guess it would just be a Defend, and then we could go... we could block all of the damage. With Cool-Headed plus Dual Cast plus Defend, that's plenty of block. I think, given that one of them is going to... Or, wait, that would be 20 blocks, so that would be 10, 12, 17, or 20 attacks, so that would be 17 blocks. So that actually doesn't work. So I think that the way to play this is just to take 2 damage, and we'll play our Dual Cast and use our Frost there. And then I can't kill it this turn, but we shouldn't take damage for the rest of this fight. So have lost a little bit of health in these early fights, often going to happen on this character. Okay, a few pretty powerful options here as well. So Chaos, I'm not a huge fan of this card. It can give you Plasma Orbs, which is obviously quite powerful. And once you upgrade it, it's not bad, but it doesn't do that much. That you can't predict what it's going to do, and it will often do something that doesn't impact the board right away, which isn't great. Focused Strike is the type of damage card that we need to get out of these early fights a little more easily. FTL is very strong for cycling through the deck, but we're kind of doing the Focus build already because we have Defragment, so we're just going to be using Orbs and building Focus. So I'll take Focused Strike here. Then we'll go to the right. Okay, so here, let's start with Cool-Headed, and I can play Defend, Defend. I could play Defragment, and then I would take 1 damage. Let's just avoid taking damage. I think we should be able to get out of this fight without tanking any damage here. Although, not if both of my defends are at the bottom of the deck. A little sad there. But there's nothing we can do about that one. Should I use my Weakness Potion? I can gain an additional block with Focused Strike, giving my Frost Orb the extra block. There's no way I can dual cast the Frost Orb. So the Weakness Potion would prevent 3 damage this turn. I don't think that's worth it. So I guess we're just taking 9. Rough early fights for sure. I was not expecting both remaining defends to be at the very bottom of the shuffle, but of course that can happen. So here we can set up Defragment and we can play Defend. And then here we can Focused Strike and end the fight. Overclock and Turbo, both incredible cards for the Defect. Synthesis that was really hard to say there. Synthesis was is a card that I don't mind, but this deck can, I think, do pretty well with just extra energy or extra card draw, and having both of these is good as well. If we take one of these cards, we'll be looking for effects like Compact that can remove status cards from my deck, but these are both very, very powerful cards. We don't yet have an expensive power that makes Synthesis actually a discount, but I think I will take the Overclock. It's just such a powerful card draw spell. And then let's get rid of this track because it's annoying me to look at it, and then we will go take some events. All right. We will lose 6 HP. We definitely don't want to add Clumsy to the deck here. And even though this puts my health a little bit low, the gold will be useful because we are going to take a shop before the end of the act. Now, this does mean that I'm probably going to have to rest at both of these campfires, so we won't be able to get too many card upgrades. So I'm going to be looking for card upgrades. Okay, well, I'm glad I took the gold, because now we have a shop, which is not bad. I do love Claw, given that we already have such a good start in the Focus deck. We're not going to take Claw. You can see my previous Defect video for a Claw build. Compact is exactly what we're looking for. I definitely want to remove a card. And do I want Trash for Treasure? We have Overclock, so Trash to Treasure could work. If I do that, though, I'm not removing a strike. I also like Rolling Boulder quite a lot on the Defect. This is a way to add damage and inevitability in longer combats. But I think that the most reasonable pick here is just going to be to remove a strike to keep the deck nice and focused. We'll take Compact, and we will take a second Cool-Headed. Frost Generation is really good, and Cool-Headed is one of the best ways to do it. Then we'll go to the left here. Here, again, we don't want to add another curse to the deck. Now, the 300 gold will let me remove a card at the shop here, which we won't be able to do otherwise. But the curse is really bad in a deck this small already. And Compact also removes statuses, not curses, so worth noting that as well. So I think we're just going to take the 54 gold here. So now I actually have a choice. I could take a hard mode hallway fight instead of 2 elites if I go up here, or we could even do 1 elite. Given how much damage we took in these early fights, I think I'm going to take the hallway fight here. The rewards will be lower, but it's going to be safer, and then I can go to the right here, and we actually get to upgrade a card at one of these campfires. We'll take some damage in this fight, but we should be safe to just take 1 rest for the rest of the fights. Basically, if I go to the left here, I'm committing to 2 elite fights with only 1 campfire, which I think is pretty dangerous in the current state of the deck. So we'll take our switch to the right here, and then we can go Cool-Headed, we can go Defragment, and will this fight go longer than 5 turns? I think it's still just going to be right to play Dual Cast. It's just more damage overall. 16 incoming damage this turn, so we're going to take a hit. I can start with Focused Strike, we can play Defend, and then I'll play Zap. Could have used one of my potions there, but I don't think we need to. Let's go Overclock first. Draw a couple cards, and we have the burn in the discard pile, which obviously Compact. We need to draw it at the same time as the burn to make that good. But here I can go Cool-Headed again, I can go Focused Strike, and I can go Defend. That blocks all the incoming damage and gets the most damage on the construct as well. I want to play Zap or Cool-Headed before I play Dual Cast. I guess I'll play Zap here, and then I'll Dual Cast the Lightning Orb. and then I'm going to play Cool-Headed to keep my orb management as strong as possible. And then I just need to be able to do 12 damage here, which we can do by playing Cool-Headed, cycling the Frost Orb, and then dual cast again. All right. Given that I have... so Beam Cell is pretty good if you're going for the zero-cost attack deck, which isn't what we're building here. But Null, I think, is very good for the deck we are building. Dark Orbs are very powerful, and applying Weakness is really strong as well. And something that this deck really wants to be able to do. So we're going to take Null here. Then we'll go here, and I will just go ahead and rest. Go take my chest. It's actually kind of an interesting question whether it's better to get the relic before resting or upgrade before resting, because if that relic had been like Regal Pillow, then we would have wanted to rest, but there are some relics that that make it this so that you want to upgrade or do something else at a campsite instead. So I'm not sure whether we're supposed to get the relic before resting or upgrade before. Either way, we get to upgrade here. So a few cards that I'm interested in upgrading. Null gives you extra turns of weakness, which is really powerful, of course. Defragment gives us additional focus, incredibly strong. Cool-Headed draws 2 cards, which matters a lot. I think that the way this deck is structured, though, Defragment is kind of a mandatory early upgrade for us, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. Then we'll take this Phantasmal Gardener fight. Definitely the hardest fight. We don't have any glass orbs for it. This is the hardest fight we could have rolled because we don't have any glass orbs in the deck to give us AoE damage, but we should be okay here still. Let's start by playing Overclock. I don't mind putting a burn in the discard, and I think I will go with Blessing of the Forge here. This is a pretty nice hand to upgrade. I do want to play Focused Strike. I want to play Cool-Headed first, though. So I'll play that, and I guess I'll play a second Cool-Headed, or do I just play Defend and Focused Strike? So we're currently taking 15 damage. Focused Strike will give us 4 total block. So I could block 8 of the 15 damage if I play Cool-Headed. I could also block more of it if I play Defend. We could block 12. So I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to play Focused Strike on the enemy that is gaining strength, and then we'll play Defend to block the most incoming damage. I'll also throw the Weakness Potion at this one, because keeping it weak for multiple turns is going to be helpful for preventing damage this turn and later. Unlucky hit from our Lightning Orb hitting the enemy that had shield. Obviously nothing we can do about that. So Null can prevent all of the damage from this enemy. I could also start with Dual Cast here and see what it hits. If it hits this one, we can prevent some additional damage because the Lightning Orb doing 8 here would let the Null kill this enemy. So let's play Dual Cast, because I'm always going to do that this turn. We did hit this Phantasmal Gardener. So I think we're just going to take 8 this turn from these guys, and we'll hit this enemy, channel a Dark Orb, and that's 1 Gardener off the table at least. Here, not that much damage incoming, which is nice. Let's start with Overclock again. We did draw into our burn, sadly not in the turn where we had Compact, but we also finally get to set up our Defragment, which is something we've been looking for. This enemy is no longer weak next turn and already has additional strength, so I want to hit it with Focused Strike as well, and then we'll play our Defend. And then we'll try to kill this 8 health enemy. Also, we're stacking the Dark Orb for more damage as well later on. Here we've got 8 damage incoming, but with 2 focus, we can just play Cool-Headed, and we can play Null, killing this enemy. Actually, I can play the Strike and then still do something else. Which is just going to be a strike on... Doesn't really matter, I guess the lower health one. Now if I cycle through the Dark Orb and can play it, like with Cool-Headed and Zap, we do kill this enemy, which is nice. So let's actually do that. I'll play Focused Strike on this enemy first. Play Cool-Headed. Well, I guess now it's going to kill that one, but that's actually even better. I didn't think about that ahead of time, but this is actually a better way to do it because we lower this enemy's health more, and we kill the more dangerous of the two. And then here I've got 8 block for 10, 14 incoming damage. Let's play a null. Which gives me 7 more blocks, so now we have 11, and I can play Defend here. And then this turn we win the fight. Alright, so it cost us both our potions, but we got a pretty clean elite fight, only 8 damage taken against one of the hardest elites we could have rolled. Parrying Shield, we will often get the value from. I don't think this is a very powerful relic. 6 damage is not that exciting, and 6 conditional damage is pretty bad, but we will usually be able to trigger it. And then here, we're going to take Hotfix. We could have had Double Claw. A little sad to be passing the Claw deck like that, but given the cards that we've seen thus far, I think it makes a lot of sense to make the choices that we've made. Alright, so this turn against this enemy, this is a guaranteed fight, not a random one. We'll play Defragment, we'll play Focus Strike, we'll play Strike. It's going to put a bunch of dazes in my deck. The Haunted Ship is one of the easier of the hard mode hallway fights, so I'm pretty happy to have rolled this. Though hopefully we can draw into some sort of defensive card. Here we go. I'll play Cool-Headed and draw again, and I'm going to use my Hotfix this turn, I think, because I'll probably just dual cast as well. So we're going to do Hotfix, dual cast for 24 damage against the enemy. I don't have enough damage that I can kill it, so we'll just play some blocking cards as well. Oh yeah, we got the Parrying Shield damage as well, which I kind of forgot about. But here, we should be able to do a fairly clean fight against this enemy. Although I guess I should have played Cool-Headed and Defend there, because we have the burn in hand. So I was thinking that we would be able to kill it or have enough damage, but I played that turn a little too fast and took 4, which I don't believe I needed to. Alright. Smokestack I actually like a fair amount, given that we have an overclock already. And we'll probably take any voids that we see as well. So I think we can get away with taking Smokestack here. It is a pretty powerful effect once it gets going. Just does a lot of damage overall. We don't need Barrage or Gunk Up, so it's either Skip or Smokestack, and I think we'll take the Smokestack. I'm 6 gold short of being able to buy a card, or remove a card from the deck, but we will still go to the shop here, thanks to the newly expensive shops. We will still go to the shop just because it's gonna be a clean... I would rather do nothing with this tile than fight one enemy here, just because our health is a little low. Even if we find nothing at the shop, then we're fairly likely to find something we want. I'll definitely take Chill. This is an excellent card for any focus-based defect deck. I don't think I need a second focused strike. I could take FTL. It's usually just going to cycle through the deck a little faster and do a little bit of damage. I could take Capacitor. Extra orb slots are both good and bad at this point. We do have a lot of focus, though, so because it makes it harder to evoke them. But we do have a lot of focus, so I think the extra orb slot is pretty nice. I really wish that I had had enough money to buy the data disk as well. This would have been a phenomenal artifact for us. Ringing Triangle is also very good for the defect. Mayhem, kind of an interesting power as well, but again, we're short on cash for all of those. I think we will buy the Capacitor. The other option would be to buy like a weakness potion or a colorless potion just to make this elite fight a little easier. But I think we're okay. Alright, this turn, let's start with Overclock. And then I'll play the Chill here, of course. I'll set up Zap and Compact and Focused Strike. Try to block the maximum amount of damage against this enemy. Then we take 4. Taking 4 there is not bad at all. Here, I can just play triple defend. The Skulking Colony shouldn't be too hard a fight for this deck. Obviously, it's a fairly tough elite, but basically this is a stat check on how much block you have available in your deck, this enemy, and we have a lot of block with our Focus and Frost Orbs. So I'll play Cool-Headed here, and now I'm not quite blocking enough. I could have played Null as well, but let's just keep cycling. Get a couple Frost Orbs going, and then this turn, I'm going to play Hotfix to block additional damage. The question is, do I want to play Capacitor before playing Cool-Headed, or would I rather evoke a Lightning Orb? I think I want more total orbs here, because this is now 12 block for the 22 incoming damage. Play Hotfix, and that blocks 6 more, so we've got 18, and then Defend is enough block total. I'm trying to save my Radiant Tincture because this is on the easier side of the elites that we could be facing. Here, I get to actually play Null because we have enough block that once the enemy is weakened, we'll just be blocking everything. And then I can play Focused Strike or Zap if I want to cycle through to the Dark Orb. It doesn't really matter what I do at this point, actually. The damage worked out a little awkwardly, where the enemy has 16 health remaining and can only take 15 damage, thanks to its Hardened Shell mechanic. But that shouldn't matter overall. Here, I will cycle through with Cool-Headed. Now we're blocking all the incoming damage, and then we'll play Focused Strike and a Defend. Getting that early defragment, and this is what I was talking about with how good early transforms are, really gave us... Oh yeah, also we get to compact this burn, which is nice. Really gave us a lot of direction for this deck, which is what I really like about those early transforms. I'm going to just play the Smokestack here. It shouldn't matter, the enemy's at 1, so we should be able to kill it with basically any shuffle. But just for the sake of correct play, then we'll take a Gambling Chip. This is a great one to help us find our important cards early. Do I want another Cool-Headed? I think 2 is enough. I still need to upgrade them, but Glacier I'll definitely take. This is a great blocking card once you have a little bit of focus, so this is a pretty nice card to add to the deck as well. So here, I actually have an interesting choice. So we're fighting against the Waterfall Giant. This is an elite that shouldn't be horrible for us, or a boss, rather, that shouldn't be horrible for us. We don't kill it that quickly, but our Dark Orb should be able to do a big chunk of damage to it. And we have a lot of block. So I'm considering taking an upgrade over resting here. I think we can get greedy and do that. And then, what am I actually going to upgrade? Upgrading Null for additional weakness is pretty helpful. Upgrading Cool-Headed is great. Upgrading Zap is always great for the Defect, because you play this card most times you draw it, and so it saves you an energy every shuffle. Overclock upgraded is excellent as well, just for more card draw. But and Hotfix upgraded doesn't exhaust, which is pretty helpful for this deck as well. I think that the most important upgrade in this deck is Cool-Headed, though. We just need to be able to cycle through our cards faster. And if I didn't have this Dexterity Potion and the Radiant Tincture, 2 really good potions for this fight, I probably wouldn't be doing... I probably would have rested. But since we do have those, I think we can get away with this. Alright, I'm definitely discarding Strike. I don't need the Glacier this turn. Chill, I don't really need either. So I'll keep Focused Strike and Zap in my opening hand. And we're trying to draw into some of my powers as well. But... So, drawing Capacitor is nice here. I'm definitely using the Dexterity Potion. We'll play Capacitor, Zap, and Focused Strike. I could use Radiant Tincture for dual cast for a little extra damage this turn, but this fight will go long enough that I don't need to dual cast right away. So, 16 incoming damage this turn. I guess I am going to use my Radiant Tincture, and I'll just play all of these cards, block all the damage. 11 this turn, but let's go for Cool-Headed first. See what we draw into. I'll play Overclock. I'm kind of hoping I redraw into the burn, because we're going to add the burn. Or no, we draw first, then add burn. So there's no way I could draw into it to compact it. Just had the sequencing backwards there. But let's definitely get Defragment going. I'll play the Cool-Headed as well. And then I need to block 3 more. So I could have played Null here, but I think just blocking a little more damage is good. And now we've got all our powers and everything set up. The Steam Eruption is stacking to a pretty substantial amount at this point, so that is something I really need to be aware of course. I'm going to play Chill because I just want that out of the deck, and then we'll play Cool-Headed here. I'll dual cast, or I should have played Focus Strike first. That was a sequencing error again. Dual cast and then play Zap. Now we've got 16 block just every turn, which is really solid. Let's go with Cool-Headed, cycle through the deck a little more, and then I'll play Zap here. I don't need to dual cast one of my Frost Orbs, so we can just play Strike, Defend. I would love to find Null this turn. This would be a great turn to cast it, and I want to get the Dark Orbs started as well. So that's perfect. I can go Focused Strike into Null. We have plenty of block even with the burn in hand, and we've started the Dark Orb stacking. This turn, I don't need to play Glacier. Let's start with Focused Strike, and then Cool-Headed. And again, I'm trying to draw into the burn so I can compact them. We missed on that. That's fine. Here, I've got 12 incoming damage, so we can just play a Strike. Also, the Parrying Shield is doing some work in this fight as well. 11 damage incoming this turn. I think we can play a Null. That'll, now we just have to do just a little block, which I can do either with Zap or with the Frost Orb. Now, it looks like we won't need to actually trigger these Dark Orbs, so I kind of want to leave more Frost Orbs for the Explosion turn. So we'll just play a Defend here. And then this turn, let's go with Overclock. I'm going to play Cool-Headed. I definitely want as many Frost Orbs in play as possible. But I also want to actually kill the enemy here. So let's play Null, and that should... No, because I don't have a Lightning Orb. So that's one turn... Oh, right. No, I have Parrying Shield, so we did kill it. That's good. And then we've got 41 incoming damage this turn, so let's play Cool-Headed. And then I can play Glacier for 2 more Frost Orbs and a bunch more block. Evoke one of the Frost Orbs. And we take a substantial hit, but not so much that we won't heal back most of our health going into the next act. And we were able to get away with a card upgrade there, so I think it was really nice to get greedy at that campsite, giving us a little more value. We'll take 75 gold, and then the card that we're adding. Don't really want any of these, which is a little sad. The Defect has really good rare cards, so finding a rare reward that you don't want is disappointing. Channel 3 Frost on the Ice Lance is okay. This card is much better if you have Plasma or other way or turbos in your deck, just ways to make it not the only thing that you do. Because often this will be like 3 energy. Let's say we have Defragment in play. This is going to be 3 energy for 12 block plus evoking a couple orbs, which is not a terrible trade, but there are lots of turns where we just won't be able to afford to play this, like if we draw it in our opening shuffle. So I think we're happier just not taking any of these, and we'll focus on easier ways to build orbs and use our powers. So that's it for Act 1. jumping in for Act 2, let's see what we've got at the Ancient. So, Seal of Gold I actually like a lot more now that the cost of card removal has been increased, because the gold is just less valuable than it used to be. Now, it is hard to maintain enough gold that you actually get the full value of the bonus energy every turn, and you'll often run out of this bonus right when you need it the most at like the boss fights. So I tend to think this is still not super useful. Toy Box is really good tempo. This can help us get through most, like all of Act 2 and a big chunk of Act 3 if we try to take minimal numbers of combats. And the relics are of course great. Yummy Cookie, this deck definitely needs extra card upgrades. There's a lot of cards we would really like to upgrade, so that's what I'm leaning towards here. And I think is what we're going to take. I'm not so happy with these Ancient rewards. These are, I think, generally on the weaker side for Ancient rewards, but card upgrades are really good. Our deck really needs upgraded cards. It'll let me rest more often, so I think we're pretty happy overall. I'll definitely be upgrading Cool-Headed. I think Null is probably a pretty important upgrade. Hotfix, or Overclock I should upgrade. Should I upgrade Hotfix? I think Cool-Headed and Zap are kind of the obvious ones. Draw extra cards and make this cost 0. We'll upgrade to Overclock because that's just a third card that we draw every time we draw Overclock, which we should be doing pretty frequently. And then the last card I could do Hotfix, Dual Cast, also reduces in cost, which is pretty nice, though Dual Cast is one where you don't necessarily play it every time you draw it, whereas like 0 cost Zap you'll basically always play. I don't need to upgrade Capacitor, it's just 1 extra orb slot, which is good, but not incredible. Glacier does make it a little more castable, but isn't a super important upgrade, I don't think. So the ones that I'm deciding between are Hotfix, so that it doesn't exhaust. Very powerful, of course, for this deck in particular, and Null for extra weakness. I think let's upgrade Hotfix here. So this, of course, makes the deck significantly stronger. Looking at the path that we can take, it looks like there's basically only one path, and it's just straight up through here. We'll take a shop, then we have to take one hard mode hallway fight, and then an elite, but we're pretty happy with an elite. We can go over here, and then when we get through this fight, we take a second hard mode hallway fight, and then we can decide if we're feeling strong enough to take an elite. This isn't a great map, honestly. I could also go to the left here, actually, which might be smoother as well. This isn't a great map because we're taking multiple fights from the harder enemy pools. In Act 2 and 3, those start after your first 2 non-elite fights, which you usually want to try to avoid, but I think this is still an okay map for us. Alright, we're always going to take a ton of damage against these enemies on the first turn, I think. With Focused Strike, I can block. So if I go Glacier plus Focused Strike, then that's going to be just 12 block right away, which is not enough to actually block the Bullbug here. So I need more block than that. Glacier plus Defend is only 10, 15, which is still not enough. So I'll keep the Glacier, but reroll everything else. And then I could play Null, in order to block a little bit more damage as well, or to weaken the enemy here. But I think that the play is just going to be Cool-Headed to start with. Okay, Hotfix does it. So this will let me actually stun the Bullbug this turn, because I can play Hotfix, and then I can play Glacier. Getting 3 Frost Orbs, and we get to evoke our Lightning Orb for extra damage. Now we've stunned the Bullbug, so we should be able to avoid taking too much damage in the rest of this fight. Here, let's start with a Cool-Headed, and we'll see what we draw into. Actually, I guess I'm more likely to want to evoke the Lightning Orb. So I'll do that. Chill I could play as well, and that does evoke the Lightning Orb, which isn't terrible. It also fills my entire bar with Frost, which is mostly what I'm going to want here. So I'll do that, and I'll play Strike. We did draw all of our defensive cards on this turn when the enemy is stunned, which is, again, a little unlucky, but not horrible. Alright, because now we've got all our focus and everything set up, so we should be able to easily do enough to avoid taking damage on this turn. I'm definitely playing Defragment. I think I will want to cycle through the Lightning Orb, so I'll play Zap. Then I could play Null, weakening this enemy. I could play Cool-Headed. I could play Null, killing this enemy, and that's just enough block as well. So that's a good backup, because that guarantees that we kill this one and don't take enough damage from this one. I could also play Cool-Headed, and that would give me 14, 22 block, which is too short if we don't kill this Bullbug. So I guess let's just play the Null here. We have enough block to stun the other Bullbug. There might have been a better line here, but this one's going to be good enough not to take any more damage in the fight, so no need to overthink it, really. And then here, Strike, Strike, and Lightning is not quite enough, so let's play a Cool-Headed and try to draw into something that will help us kill the enemy this turn, and Focused Strike is enough to do it. Alright. I do want Glass. Glass orbs are really helpful for fights that have AoE in them, and in Act 2 there are some AoE fights. Compiled Driver is probably going to be a lot of card draw as well. It's an upgraded Compiled Driver. We have 3 kinds of orbs already in the deck, and we're likely to get more. Refract, I think, is a little bit of a bad way to get Glass most of the time, just because it's so expensive. These 3 cost cards without any way to generate energy are a little rough. So I think we'll take Compile Driver so we can draw through our deck faster. I really dislike Wongos, because I want this gold to be able to remove one of my strikes. But downgrading a random card is pretty bad for us. If it hits, like, Defragment, then that's going to make the next several fights vastly more difficult. So I think we're just going to have to accept that we're not going to be able to remove all of these strikes in this run, and we'll take the bargain bin. Oddly Smooth Stone is a good relic to get. It's one of the better ones we could have gotten from that roll. So I'm not devastated there, but it is a little sad. Definitely do not want to add Decay to the deck. The Lost Wisp is a pretty good card, and it would work well if we find like creative AIs and stuff like that later on. But let's just take the money here. Still won't have enough to be able to remove a card at the shop, thanks to the now more expensive card removal. So here I could go like Glacier plus Focused Strike, and that would be 12 total block. No, 13, because we have our... or I could do Defragment, actually. 13 total block because we have our Dexterity. So given that this is probably my card play, let's go ahead and redraw the other 3 cards. And I'll play, yeah, Defragment plus Glacier. Block all the incoming damage here. And set up 2 Frost Orbs and our Defragment, which is obviously very important. Here I can go... We can just play everything. This is a pretty rough hand. Just the smokestack, by the way, has been very bad in this deck so far. I haven't found like a turbo or anything that would have made it better. But let's play that and see if maybe our strike can do enough damage to kill one of these enemies. This one's at 9, so I'll try to lower this one's health below 9 so we can one-shot it later. Then we take 9, and that 9 damage is basically just because I had Smokestack in the deck. So important to recognize when a card is causing you problems. Here I can go Zap and then Compile Driver, killing this enemy and drawing 2 cards. I can play Capacitor and Chill, filling my whole track with Frost Orbs. And then we have Overclock in the deck, so I could play Overclock and Reshuffle, but let's actually not play the Cool-Headed this turn because I want to be able to play Overclock next turn. We wouldn't have any energy if I draw it. If I had played Cool-Headed, we'd have drawn into Overclock, and then we wouldn't be able to do anything with the cards we draw off it. Here, let's start with Overclock. Sure, we'll play a hotfix, and then I'll play Compile Driver, killing this enemy. Alright, another Focused Strike, not bad. Fight Through, we have Compact, and we have Smokestack already. So I think this is a Fight Through angle. The status effects are something that we're not unhappy adding to the deck. This will give us a good card to draw for with Gambling Chip in the beginning of fights. And while the wounds are obviously bad, we already have one way to remove them, and we're going to be looking for more. Given that I can't remove a card at this shop, do I instead prefer to take this event? Because basically I could take a fight and a chop, or a fight and an event. And I think I'd rather just take the event than the shop. Obviously, there's cards we could buy at the shop that would be good, but this deck doesn't really need any specific cards added to it. It mostly just needs cards removed from it. We need some infinite scaling, something like Creative AI, Echo Form, things that'll make us really strong for the boss fights, but we have time to get those. So I'm much more interested in... I'm also going to keep, I guess, just both Cool-Headeds here. I'm much more interested in getting value out of the event immediately. Let's play Cool-Headed, and then... Oh, I really want to play Defragment this turn, but I also want to play Null. I guess I'll just play the Defragment, though, and we'll not get the Dark Orb set up. And then do I want to play Cool-Headed for another Orb, or Capacitor for more Orb slots? Let's just get our powers set up. Usually a good heuristic is just play your powers on turns when they're available to play. This turn, we're definitely going to take some extra damage against this enemy. So I can go defend. Maybe I needed to use my stable serum against this enemy as well. Let's go defend, and then I have to play Compile Driver because I really need to draw into some way to add more block. Otherwise, we're taking 20 this turn. But we didn't, so we're taking 20 this turn. If I had played Cool-Headed last turn instead of Capacitor, then I would only be taking 16. But again, we've kind of hit a rough shuffle, and Smokestack has once again really messed up the deck such that we're taking a bunch of damage. So the Smokestack selection is not working out at all. Let's play Overclock. We'll play Hotfix, of course. I will play Compile Driver as well. And then I can play Glacier. And if I just get the Glacier out, we're never taking damage again for the rest of this fight, which is kind of important. Here I will start with Cool-Headed, because I might draw into Hotfix, right? No, we don't have Hotfix still in the deck, so I'll start with Chill, play Zap, play Null, and just play Strike. And then 18 damage incoming this turn. I can go Cool-Headed into Focused Strike. Of course, we need to block enough damage here. And then the Lightning Orb will end the fight. So, huge hit there, thanks to a bad shuffle and having one bad card in the deck. You can really see how quickly having one bad card in the deck snowballs fights against you, especially these more difficult fights. So, very important that you keep your deck very focused and clean as much as possible. I think that's a really good lesson here. Alright, so I could heal for 25 and add Metamorphosis to the deck. Add 3 random attacks to your draw pile. They're free to play this combat. It does junk up your deck a lot to have Metamorphosis in it. Now, 3 random attacks can be good, can be bad, but they're not going to exhaust out. I do need to heal, I don't have an easy way to remove a card unless I go to the left here, but maybe I should do that. Oh, I guess I can, no, that doesn't connect. But going to the left here and skipping these elite fights might actually be the way to go. Just so I get a shop in Act 2. Or I could just lose 10 HP. That means I'm definitely not taking this elite fight. If I lose 10 HP, we upgrade a card. And then I'm resting at the campsite instead, which is going to be more than 10 HP. Healing for 25 is like upgrading a card, because I could go to the campsite and then upgrade immediately. This is actually a pretty interesting decision. I think that this deck, I kind of want to take this elite fight, and I have to heal if I'm going to do that. So I think we will go for the Spirit Grafter. I really dislike adding another dead card to the deck. But this lets me take an elite fight, which we're kind of low on relics, and I do want an elite fight here. So that's an interesting decision. I'm curious what you all would do in the comments. Okay, I'll keep Fight Through and Cool-Headed. I can keep Chill as well, because it's free. And then against this enemy, Null is a huge amount of damage prevention. So if I play Null, we would be taking 16 damage, and then Chill blocks 2 of that. Cool-Headed and Fight Through blocks blocks the rest of it. So that's fine. So I'll do that, and then we'll play Fight Through. Doesn't mean I'm adding a bunch of wounds, but I can play enough block that we don't take any damage. I don't need to play Stable Serum or anything this turn. Stable Serum to retain Cool-Headed isn't terrible. We do have like a Daze in the deck as well. But I think we can probably get more value out of that. 15 damage incoming this turn, so we're just going to play Hotfix and Glacier, and I think I will play the Clarity Extract to see if I can draw another playable card, because otherwise I'm not spending all my energy, and energy efficiency is pretty important as well. Let's play Hotfix, we'll play Zap, and Compact, incredible in the Entomancer fight, because it's going to let me get the Daze out of the deck as well. So I'll play that, we'll play Fuel. Then I've got 3 unique orbs, so I can play Compile Driver while still having enough to play Glacier. And then do I want to play Glacier or Focused Strike? We're currently blocking, because I could play like Cool-Headed into Focused Strike and block enough damage anyways, so I don't really need to play the Glacier this turn. So let's do that. We'll use our Dark Orb a little early there, but that's fine. And then I think it is worth putting 1 Daze into the deck here to play Focused Strike. And then this turn I'm going to use my Stable Serum so that we can, because the deck currently is very bad. So I want to make sure that I have things to do next turn as well. So we're using both our potions in this fight, but that's okay. We can play Defragment and Smokestack. And then I don't need to play anything else, really, so we'll just play the Defend here. I do want to play a Defend because we're retaining 5 cards, and I want to draw 5 new cards. I'd rather have most other cards in the deck other than a Defend. Drawing Burn and Wound here without the Compact is a little sad. Let's play Hotfix first, and then I can play Focused Strike as well. Also, this is the enemy putting Dazes in my deck, so it doesn't work for Smokestack. That's an important interaction as well. And then here, I can just play Glacier, putting a bunch more Frost Orbs into play, and getting a bunch of block. We've got 32 damage incoming, 34 damage incoming, but should have enough block that we can block all of it. This turn, I can go Null and a Defend. And then here we can go for Compile Driver. I guess I can play the Zap first, then play Compile Driver. drawing 3 cards. I can compact the Dazed, but let's play Cool-Headed first because I might draw more of them, and I did. So now I can compact both of these Dazes, play both Fuels. I'll play Cool-Headed, winning the fight. I hadn't really noticed we had a Dark Orb at the end of the track there, but that was fairly easy. Tuning Fork, this is pretty nice. We're just spamming skills in this deck, so the Tuning Fork will be pretty powerful. And then Hailstorm or Go for the Eyes. These are both really strong cards to add. Hailstorm is decent damage, but I don't really like actually putting this card in my deck. I much prefer getting it off of Creative AI. But Go for the Eyes is a way to apply weakness for free. Really powerful for this deck and for any Defect deck. Upgrades to apply 2 turns of weakness for 0, which is basically Neutralize, one of the top 5 cards in the game. So we're always happy to get a Go for the Eyes. See what we get here. We got the Lucky Fish. Not amazing. I still have 54 health, so do I want a card upgrade? I could go to the left here as well and remove a card. So basically, I could go to the right. We get to upgrade a card and then take an elite fight. I could go to the left, and we don't get any more elite fights this act, which means only 1 total. And have to take 2 hallway fights, but we're doing that kind of no matter which direction I go. And we get a card upgrade here. So I think taking 1 fewer elite fight, but getting to go to a shop is going to be a better path overall. So let's go left. Having the explosive potion for this AoE fight, like I talked about, this act has a lot of enemies that do AoE, or where you want AoE. So it's pretty nice having those. Do I want the null? I think I'd rather just keep Cool-Headed, and we'll look for being able to set up powers this turn. Let's start with Cool-Headed here. Then I can play Compile Driver. And then again, do I want Capacitor or Cool-Headed? I'm going to play Hotfix because it's 2 more damage. I think, again, I'll play the Capacitor. I'm curious as to this play. I think this is an interesting subtlety, whether I want the Orbs or the Capacitor out there. And I might change my mind on that play, given, more information later on. Alright, so here, let's start, of course, with Overclock. I could play Metamorphosis first, but I don't think we're going to actually play that. I'll play Overclock. I'll definitely play Defragment and Zap. And then I'm going to play Chill, because this gets me 4... Well, let's use the Explosive Potion first, because then my Lightning Evokes will kill these enemies if they hit them. And then I can play Dual Cast, potentially killing both eggs. We have plenty of block here, so let's play the Dual Cast. Didn't kill this egg, but we should be able to get rid of it later, and we can play a Smokestack now. This turn, I have enough block if I just play Focused Strike, so I'll just do that, and then I can just go Strike, Strike, killing the Hatchling. The enemy's gonna do its summon this turn, so let's start with Cool-Headed. I can maybe draw a different orb, so Compile Driver actually draws. We didn't, but we'll play Hotfix, we'll play Compile Driver, and I can play Compact now, because I happen to draw into the burn. I can play Fuel, and then nothing. I don't really want to play Fight Through for, no value. So we have a million Frost Orbs, which is a pretty good position to be in when you're playing the Defect. Here, let's start with Overclock. Then I can play... I'm always playing Go for the Eyes on this enemy. We have tons of block. We don't need any more block here. So, do I just play Null? And Zap? Let's start with Cool-Headed, I guess. And then I'll play Hotfix, because why not? And then I'll play Zap. And then I'll play Null. keeping the Dark Orb at the end so it can stack up more damage. This turn, we've got 16 damage incoming and have more than enough block. Let's start with Compile Driver. Then I'm going to play Focused Strike. And then Cool-Headed, and that should be enough block overall. Cycle through the deck a little faster as well. And then this turn, Fight Through, it adds 2 wounds with the Smokestack for 10 damage. So we can just do that as well, and we'll play Cool-Headed here, play Hotfix, play Strike, and we'll see what my orbs hit. And they hit the big one, so we win the fight. Okay, I do like Lightning Rod a lot. This gives us just more channeling, which is really powerful. It helps cycle through Frost Orbs for even more block and everything. And it lets you basically invest in energy in future returns. I think we don't really need it, though. 4 block is kind of low on Lightning Rod, and I would rather look for other ways to generate orbs. So I think I will pass on Lightning Rod here. All right. So I am going to go to the left. I think taking the shop is really important. Combined Strikes is kind of interesting because that way I basically remove 1 strike, get a card that we might play occasionally, and then I can spend my other card removal on Metamorphosis, which we'll never cast. I could also do Combined Defense, because Combining Defense is a little better, and that leaves me 2 cards that I could remove for strikes. I could remove both strikes. But I think Combining Strikes here, because it effectively turns 1 really bad card into... or 2 really bad cards into 1 okay card, reducing the potential for bad draws. Then we'll go to the left, we'll upgrade, I'll upgrade Go for the Eyes, because more turns of weakness, really important. Then we'll go to the shop here, and we'll see what we get. Okay, a charge battery is pretty nice, hologram could be okay. This deck actually could use Eternal Armor, which is funny, this is a pretty bad card, but Eternal Armor is fairly powerful overall. Red Mask is really good, I think this is one of the best relics in the game. Orrery is not bad either. There are some cards that we would be pretty happy taking as well. Because at this point we are looking for long-term scaling in fights, things like creative AIs and stuff. But I think in general we're just going to be happiest in this shop, just removing Metamorphosis for fewer bad draws in the deck. And I'll put Charge Battery in the deck as well, because extra energy is something we're very much looking for. This is a very powerful card. A second Smokestack, I think we could maybe start building around it a little more, but Charge Battery is just a really good card for the Defect. Now we get to take another fight here. I'm definitely keeping Defragment. I don't need to keep these cards, though. I'm going to look for a way to block this 6 damage a little more easily. Charge Battery is a perfect one. So we'll go for the eyes on this enemy, weakening it for 2 turns. We'll play Defragment, Charge Battery, Defend. Hoping to draw Compact here, but I think we discarded it, right? Yeah, so we can't draw into Compact for the Toxics, but we do now have the ability to just play them. This is also take 5 damage, important to note, not lose 5 health, so you can block the damage from these. Let's start with Chill, so that I can play Compile Driver here. And I'll hit the low health enemy. Then I will play Overclock, see what we draw into. Smokestack into Fight Through is pretty tempting here, because we would deal 10 damage to everything, so let's just do that. We'll play the Smokestack, we'll play Fight Through. That blocks all of the damage, adds some statuses to the deck. We can play Zap as well to cycle that, and then I've got tons of block here. We're taking 25, and I have... So I do need to play one of the Toxics. Then this turn, I could play Null, I could play Glacier. Let's start with a Cool-Headed. I'd like to find enough damage to kill the lower health Might. Alright, we can play Overclock here. Draw 3 more cards, and we get to do Trigger Smokestack. Let's play Zap as well. Actually, am I drawing more cards? So I could play Compile Driver, drawing 2, or Cool-Headed, drawing 1. I guess I need to play Zap before I do either of those anyways, so we'll play the Zap. Obviously, I'm looking for, like, more focus from Focus Strike or Hotfix if I play the card draw first. Oh, and I have Compact in hand. I fully did not notice I had Compact in hand. These are statuses, so of course I can use that. I'm going to play the Cool-Headed first because I might draw my other statuses, and we did. I even talked about how good it was in this fight. We'll play Fuel, 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 and then I can play Fight Through for actually more damage here. Put this enemy to 5. I can play Compile Driver or Null, or just go Focused Strike and Ultimate Strike, and then 6 damage to that enemy, ending the fight. Okay. I noticed in the end, I'm sure everyone was screaming at me there in the comments, but we got there. Do I want a boost away? We do have some status synergy. Dazed is not a bad status to add. But I think that we're kind of thinking bigger than these like small effects at this point. We could have had a third claw as well. But let's skip on this reward, and then we're going to go here and we'll upgrade. A few different options for upgrades again. I could upgrade Smokestack for more damage. I could upgrade Chill to not exhaust. It's just a very good card when it doesn't exhaust. I could upgrade Compact for Fuel Pluses, which draw 2 cards, and that's really awesome when you can get it to work. Null for 3 turns of weakness is really good. I think we now have enough statuses in the deck with the Fight Through and everything, plus we're going into the later fights where there's just a lot of status-creating enemies. We're just going to take Compact, and then we'll go into the Knowledge Demon fight. Alright, so we are going to take a bunch of damage here. I'm going to keep Charge Battery, probably. I'll keep... Don't need to play Focus Strike, Ultimate Strike, Defend, or Glacier this turn. Charge Battery, of course, we're just delaying an energy until next turn. So actually, I think I'm just going to redraw all of these. Because I'm just looking for powers and card draw, basically. And then here, this is kind of perfect. I can play Defragment. I do want to set up at least 1 Frost Orb. So I'll play the Cool-Headed, and I'll play Capacitor as well. Given that we don't have like extra card draw in this deck, I'm going to take the Disintegration here. We'll be taking a bunch of damage every turn. And then let's go for the eyes. Hotfix, Compact, Defend. I do need to find ways to set up more Frost Orbs quickly. Here we can go Overclock to start, which is great. I can play Go for the Eyes. Perfect, keeping the enemy weakened. I want to draw more cards with Compile Driver, but let's go Zap, Chill, and then Null. And then, do I need to play Fight Through, or can I play Compile Driver to cycle and maybe hit Hotfix or something like that? We're currently taking 24 damage, and I don't have enough blocks, so I need to play Fight Through to avoid taking hits. But we got a Dark Orb set up at the end of the track, which is perfect. Here we can go Cool-Headed, Focused Strike, and Charge Battery. I don't want to play Cool-Headed again because I would rather keep these Frost Orbs. And we can take up the Dark Orb for longer. This turn, I can set up Smokestack. I can play Hotfix, and I could play Compact. I could just play the Glacier to cycle forward. I think playing Glacier is pretty good here. We have enough frost generation that the even 13 damage a turn from the disintegrations isn't that big a deal. And then, because right now I'm taking 28, but we already have 16 block before I do anything. So let's go with Null for sure. And then I'm going to play a Zap. And then I'll dual cast my Frost Orb, because this is 12, 19 block for 28 damage. So dual casting Frost Orb will kind of fix that. $27 damage incoming this turn. Let's start with Overclock. I don't have Compact. We drew the double wounds here. Compact is in the deck, actually. So let's start with Cool-Headed. Try to draw 2 cards. We'll play Hotfix. I'll play Compile Driver, because I'm trying to draw into Compact to get rid of these wounds, and that will also give me a much stronger turn this turn. Compact here being incredible. Let's play our first Fuel. Play Go for the Eyes. I'll play another Fuel, because I want to redraw again. And then, I guess the last one. Is there anything I would like to cycle back into the deck before I trigger the reshuffle? I don't think I really want to redraw any of these cards currently. Cool-Headed is always good to redraw, so maybe I should play that before playing the Fuel. Yeah, let's do that, I guess. So I'll play that. Oh wait, no, because that draws, so that triggers the reshuffle anyways. I overthought that one. Then I'm going to play another Fuel here. And I can play another Null for more damage and more weakness. I could play Fight Through for 10 damage. I could Compile Driver to keep cycling as well. But let's just play a Null here. I actually took 2 damage. I thought we had plenty of block, so I didn't bother counting. I could have counted, obviously. We'll play Hotfix. We'll play Overclock. This turn, I'm going to... I could dual cast the Dark Orb for 48 damage. That's not bad. It does mean I need to play a bunch more block this turn as well. So let's not worry about dual casting. I'll just play Zap, and then I'll play Cool-Headed, cycling again. Compact, that's perfect. And then I can play Fuel here. And then I could just play another Null. 13 damage, and we have plenty of block. So yeah, we'll just keep cycling here. We're going to get the third curse, which is somewhat rare. Usually you try to kill this enemy before the third curse happens, but this deck is a little slow in terms of damage. We'll play Hotfix for sure. I will play... I think we are playing Focus Strike this turn, so I should play it before I start cycling. We'll play Cool-Headed. I'll play Compile Driver as well. And then I'll play Zap. Do I want the even more disintegration? I think that's probably the way to go. Usually you try not to take all 3 of these when the fight goes this long. But this deck just has so much block that I think we're okay with that. So we'll play this. We'll play Glacier here. And I'm currently taking no damage, so I can get away with playing Ultimate Strike. This turn, let's start with Overclock, because I'm going to try to draw into more stuff to Compact. We'll play Compact as well. Then I'll play Focus Strike first, because I wouldn't mind redrawing Focused Strike after reshuffling. Then I'll play my Fuels here. I'll play Compact again, because it's free. Turns this burn into a Fuel. And then we can play Focused Strike again. We can play Cool-Headed for 37 damage. I can play Overclock for 5 more damage. and then we can ultimate strike to win the fight. And I think, did we take 0 damage in the Knowledge Demon fight? No, I took 2. But that was a very, very clean fight there. So this deck is coming together very well. I need some sort of late game card, so that's what I'm looking for here. Signal Boost can be good. Consuming Shadow is fairly powerful. It does give you a lot of orb evokes. It does make it hard to keep orbs stacked up. When you upgrade it, it's just an extra dark channel as well. This is a way to gain more value over time, but I think we probably just want Signal Boost. It can cost 0 and like double our defragments, so we're just going to take that. We're still looking for something like Creative AI in one of our Act 3 rewards, or anything that can give us more long-term value, but overall, pretty happy with where the deck is at currently. And jumping in for Act 3, let's see what the Ancient has. So, we've got... Enthralled is maybe okay for this deck. Jeweled Mask is not bad if we find the creative AIs or echo forms that we're looking for. And it's certainly not bad in general for this deck. Like, obviously playing Smokestack at the beginning isn't that important, but getting a defragment into play early is pretty good. Enthralled could be okay, but we do have a lot of card draw in this deck, so that makes, or Blood-Soaked Rose, does make this a little bit worse. And we don't have an easy way to remove it during combat to exhaust it. We can exhaust status cards, but not curses. On the other hand, Distinguished Cape, I think, is just extremely powerful. These apparitions make it so much easier not to take huge damage on a lot of turns of these fights. So that's usually what I'm going to take here. Looking at our bosses, we have the Doormaker and the Test Subject. Test Subject is going to be pretty tough for this character because we have to play a lot of skills, so its first phase will be really dangerous. Doormaker, I think, shouldn't be that bad. By that point, we should have enough powers that we should be able to deal most of our damage with powers. Though, we do need to find something that gives me more long-term value. Things like, like we've been talking about those, but also Tempest or anything like that. They can just give me a way to kill this enemy over the long fight that it kind of forces. So, I think I'll take Distinguished Cape here. Apparition is just always really good. This isn't a spot where I think, again, you could make a bunch of different decisions and they would all be reasonably strong. Looking at our path here, we could go kind of like this, and then we take one fight here. We can go up here and get another shop, and then we actually never have to take a hard mode fight. I could also do an elite if I'm feeling up for it at that point as well. If I take this track. If I take the left-hand track, we're taking a hard mode fight here. We get one fewer shop, but 2 more fights, so that's not great. This left side is worthless, so I think we're just taking this right-hand track, the second one in like this. So let's get into it. On the first turn here, I want to play Charge Battery. I think that's the most important card for us, so I will redraw Compact, but we'll take Charge Battery. I'm looking for ways to apply weakness, and of course, things like Overclock and Hotfix. Capacitor also, or Fight Through also really good here. That can help me stay alive and not take damage on the first turn of this combat. So we'll play... obviously, Apparition is good as well. So, do I want to play the Apparition this turn? I think it just makes it much easier, then I don't have to play Fight Through. So we'll just play Apparition, Charge Battery, and Capacitor. We'll leave Signal Boost in the deck as well. Then we take no damage, get some of our stuff set up, and we also set up an extra energy for next turn, which matters a lot here. Let's start by playing Cool-Headed. I'll play Defragment, of course. I'll play Chill. And I'll play Zap. Do I need to play Apparition this turn? We have 12 block, so I guess we do need to play it. So I'll just play that and Ultimate Strike. Nice that all the random damage went on the one that doesn't have a bunch of block. Here, I don't need to play Apparition. I can go for the eyes, this enemy. I'll play Cool-Headed. And I could just play Glacier if I want to move the Frost Orbs backwards. Like, if I want to move the Lightning Orb forwards, then we can play Glacier. I think it is correct to move the Lightning Orb a little further forwards, because I do want to evoke that eventually. Here, we can start with Hotfix, and I'll play Null, because I do want to weaken this enemy. Now we're only taking 15 damage. And we have way more than enough block, but I'll play Charge Battery. I could play Compile Driver as well, but I think setting up the extra energy for next turn matters more. Here we will play Overclock, and I don't have any... I can play Zap here, and I can play Ultimate Strike, and then we win the fight. Alright. So, no damage on the first fight. That's exactly what we want to see. Loop is another way to generate long-term value, which is pretty good. Hologram could be okay for things like replaying Hotfix for this character, but I think I will take the Loop here. I do want to add more strong powers to the deck that we can replay, or that we can just get a critical mass of strength, both against the Doormaker and the test subject. Just having a bunch of powers in the deck is mostly what you're looking for. This turn, I could take another Loop. I could take a second Compact, which is pretty nice as well. We could take Kifuda here and add extra block to my blocking cards, which is pretty good. Purity isn't bad. Removing a card isn't bad, like just removing Ultimate Strike. I would remove that over a Defend, even though it's an upgraded strike and everything. But would I rather have like Loop and Compact in the deck? Or a second go for the eyes? I think just removing Ultimate Strike and making my deck a little bit smoother is going to be the best thing here. So let's... Where did it go? Here it is. I couldn't find it for a second there. Card removal is always incredibly strong, so you should usually err on the side of just doing that. I am probably hitting another shop, so I think I will take the Foul Potions. It does mean I'll be going into the boss fights with maximum 1 potion, or I guess maximum 2 if I take 2 elite fights, because the path we're taking is this. But the 200 gold I think is going to be pretty nice here, and we do still need some scaling in the deck, so we will take the Foul Potions, since we are going to another shop. And then let's go to an event. Okay, well, I have to lose one of my Foul Potions, so we're spending 100 gold on this, but an upgraded rare power, that's exactly the thing that we need for this deck. So let's see what we get here. Not exactly what we were looking for. Coolant is great. Buffer, you mostly want to get off of... I was hoping for Echo Form, Creative AI, etc. Another Defragment would be incredible. Consuming Shadow I could take as well, but I think Coolant is just gonna make this deck a little bit better. We will usually have 2 different types of orbs, so it's just 6 block a turn, which is not bad. Kind of an unlucky roll there, though, to be honest. Here, we can just set up a bunch of powers, so we'll discard these 2. And do I want to keep the Smokestack? I feel like we can do better even than just setting up Smokestack with my energy this turn, so I'll go ahead and play Focus Strike, Chill, Loop, and Defragment. This turn, let's start with Overclock. And then do I have to play Apparition? It's probably easier to set everything up if I do, so we'll spend energy on that. We'll play Zap here, and I will then play Coolant and Charge Battery. I could have played Compile Driver, but I wanted to set up Charge Battery for next turn when we're not guaranteed to have Apparition in hand, so I might need more energy. We'll go ahead and play Go for the Eyes. Now, I didn't draw Signal Boost alongside my Defragment. But that's okay. Signal boosting capacitor is fine here, or I could save signal boost for, I guess it would be for smokestack. I do want to play the signal boost to get it out of the deck, but I think I will leave it here so that I can just play, well, I can just play it this turn, and because the effect doesn't go away, like it lasts from turn to turn, of course. So then when we redraw our next power, we can just double cast it. Then we'll play Hotfix and Cool-Headed. And I'll play another Cool-Headed. Trigger the redraw. We'll play Go for the Eyes, weakening the enemy more. I don't need to play Fight Through, so we'll just pass the turn here. 31 damage coming in this turn. Do I want to double play Smokestack? I guess so. We'll play it using our signal boost. And then I can play Overclock, dealing 10 damage to the enemy. I can play Zap to trigger the Dark Orb, or Capacitor first to prevent the Dark Orb from triggering. I don't have enough damage to kill the enemy this turn. I could draw into Apparition, which is kind of what I'm hoping for at this point. So I will start with Compile Driver. If I play Zap, well, I guess if I play Capacitor and then Zap, then Compile Driver draws 3, but then I don't have the energy to play those cards. So I'll play Compile Driver first. I'll play Hotfix for more block. Focused Strike I could play as well, and that would be 9 damage. We've got 4 focus, so that's 7 damage from the Zap. And then we would also be adding an additional 1 to the Dark Orb. So that would be 9 plus 7 is 16, plus 33 would be 1 short, I think. I'm going to play the Focus Strike, I think, anyways, because it's almost as much block as the Defend. But then we can Zap. And we're taking some extra damage. Or, yeah, and then we're 1 shy of killing it, sadly. So we're taking a pretty big hit this turn. Oh, no, wait, I completely forgot Parrying Shield. Okay, cool. So we didn't take any damage there, so that's great. Oh, perfect. Turbo is exactly the card that we want, like, the most, other than Creative AI, which I've talked about a million times, but an upgraded Turbo is exactly what we're looking for, goes well with our Compact, very powerful card overall. We're thrilled to see it. Here, we'll go to the campsite, and we'll upgrade again. I could upgrade Loop, that's not a bad one. I could upgrade Signal Boost, making it free. I could upgrade, what else? Chill, making it not exhaust. I think the Signal Boost being free is what we're looking for. Alright, so I got 2 potion slots, a little late, we can't really use them. I think, need to go to this shop and hope that 189 gold is enough to buy some kind of scaling card. I will also upgrade Loop here, I think, and then I can try to Signal Boost that most of the time, because that's what's going to give me enough damage to kill the Doormaker, which is I'm more worried about the Doormaker than the test subject. New Doormaker's pretty tough, but both are pretty dangerous. And then let's go to the shop here. We'll throw the Foul Potion for 100 gold, and then we'll see what we've got. Okay, so we didn't find a power that we really want. Thunder is not bad, it's just extra damage overall. A second Null could be okay here. Hologram isn't terrible either. I could also just take Lantern or Happy Flower. Those are both pretty solid upgrades for this deck as well, with a lot of card draw in the deck. But I think Thunder is going to be more powerful. So I'm going to take that, and I will, I think, take the Hologram as well. And then I can redraw things like Hotfix. Basically, I want to make the deck, because we're going against the Doormaker, I do want to add a few more cards to the deck, because we don't have infinite scaling in this deck currently, or like an infinite combo or anything. So So I just need more cards so that as we exhaust cards against the Doormaker, we don't run out of cards to fight it with. I could also buy some potions. Essence of Darkness, actually, that could help me kill the Doormaker, so maybe I just buy that. Yeah, actually, I think we're just going to do this. This is going to be the easiest way to fight the Doormaker, the Essence of Darkness potion. So we're buying that to set up to make the Doormaker an easier fight. Alright, we have Apparition this turn, so I'll not keep the Ascender's Bane. I won't keep Focus Strike, but Turbo and Cool-Headed we can keep. And then let's start by playing Cool-Headed here. I'll then play Overclock. Try to draw into something good. We'll play Signal Boost. And I can play Triple Apparition, which is kind of fun. We'll go for the eyes, of course. I'll play Turbo. We'll play Triple Apparition. Definitely want to get those out here. Now, do I want to hologram something back? I could hologram back Overclock and replay that. That seems good enough to do. We still have an energy to spend, so trying to roll into powerful cards again. Sure, I'll play the Hotfix, and I guess we'll play the Dual Cast. It's probably more damage, because we should be building more orbs in future turns. Alright, so do I want to double play Capacitor or Smokestack, or hold off to double play something else? I think double playing Capacitor is fine here. Just get a lot of orb slots, and then I'll play Smokestack. No, I'm going to play the Glacier. I want to start filling those, filling our orbs here. Now, I don't have Compact this turn. It's in the discard, but this enemy Compact is, of course, very good against. I'm starting to think maybe the second Compact that I passed on would have been really good as well. Just there's so many enemies in Act 3 that add statuses to your hand and your deck. So maybe that would have been a better play. Let's play Compile Driver first. We'll see what we draw, and then I'll just set up Thunder here. $45 incoming damage this turn, and we no longer have Apparition, unfortunately. But let's start by playing Cool-Headed. I'll play Hotfix, that's great. I'll play Chill, I'll play Zap, and then I can play Fight Through, which is enough block, right? Because that's 30 block plus 21 is 51 block, so we have enough. And then would I rather have Loop or Coolant? I guess Loop is going to be 8 block, and Coolant is only going to be 6 most turns. Oh no, and Loop triggers twice, so yeah, we would just rather have Loop in play here. Alright, so this turn I don't have a way to draw, but I can at least compact one of the burns. And then we'll do that. We'll play here. I'll play Smokestack, and I will play Overclock. Draw some cards. I'll play Focused Strike as well. I could Turbo, but I don't need to. Let's just play the Defend here. We will draw our Void at some point, but we have enough orbs. Though I drew so many statuses this turn. But we have enough Frost Orbs that we're okay anyways. And then this turn, we've got 50 damage incoming. So let's just go Glacier and Charge Battery. Or 52 damage with the burn, actually. And then I finally get to play Null this turn, which is where most of the damage in this deck is coming from. So we get to actually get a Dark Orb out there. And then I will play a Cool-Headed, and I'll just not play Turbo again. So we're hoping that this Mecha Knight gives me one more good damage card. That's what I'm really looking for. If I don't find one, I'll probably take the second elite fight just so that we can potentially find one there. Let's go with, we have 9 cards in hand. I could discard with one with dual cast, but I think I'd rather keep the energy. No, I guess we'll play dual cast here. We'll play Overclock, draw 3 cards, play Zap, play Compile Driver. I'll play Focus Strike. $55 damage incoming this turn, so let's start with a Cool-Headed. We'll play Charge Battery Defend. I drew a lot of statuses, so we are going to take a hit this turn, but that's okay. And then here, we can finally get the Coolant into play. I am drawing Compact on turns when I'm not drawing any of the 9 million statuses in the deck, which is a little sad. But at least we do get to get rid of one there. And then I will cycle through with Glacier, because I want to get the Dark Orb moving to the front of the line. So we can actually play it. And then we've got 9 cards in hand, so we can start with Cool-Headed, and then I can play Dual Cast on the Dark Orb, and that ends the fight. Alright, Vambrace, not terrible. Let's see what we get here. Subroutine is pretty good. Refract is a way to add more damage to my deck. Lightning Rod is also just more damage. It cycles through channeling lightning orbs, which works with our thunder and everything. Subroutine lets me play a lot of these powers for free, and would be really good again if I find more damaging powers. I think I will take the Lightning Rod, though, because getting extra lightning channels is going to be something that we're really interested in. Alright, here we'll definitely do a Swift power, and we're playing Defragment basically every time we draw it, so I'll just give that Swift so we can cycle through the deck faster. And then I think I do want to take this Elite Fight. I wouldn't mind another Potion, and I'm still looking for one more damaging card before the end here. On this first turn, we'll keep an Apparition, and other than that, I don't need to keep any of these cards. So let's go Apparition, Null, and Chill. And I don't want to use my Vambrace on Hologram here, so getting to play Null here is nice. Getting to play Chill. Oh, I should have done that in the other order, so the Dark Orb was further backwards. This turn, we can go... We've got 20 incoming damage. I can charge battery for just 16 block, which seems pretty good. So I'll do that. And I've got 18 block now, 19 with Focus Strike. I could block everything with Glacier, or I could take 1 to get Coolant into play. Probably taking 1 saves me damage on the long run here, because getting Coolant into play is just 9 block per turn right now. And there's no guarantee that we draw into more Apparitions at this point. Let's start with Cool-Headed, because I could draw into Signal Boost to double cast Defragment. So we'll play this. So even though I'm giving up some damage on the Lightning Orb Evoke, this way I can draw Signal Boost and get to play 2 Defragments, which is going to be more powerful. Then we'll play Go for the Eyes here. I'll play Smokestack, because I can get that into play for sure. 23 incoming damage. We have plenty of block, so I'll just play the Loop here. I don't need to play Turbo. This turn, I can play both Apparitions, so I probably will. We'll just play Hotfix, Apparition, Apparition, and Thunder. And then this turn, I'll start with Overclock, getting a reshuffle. I could reshuffle with Zap, or I could put the Zap back in the reshuffle, but I think I'd actually rather not redraw Zap this turn. We'll play Hotfix here. I could evoke the Dark Orb right away, but I think I'd rather play Capacitor and then Zap, and then we'll play Lightning Rod, and we'll keep charging the Dark Orb up. I should also be paying attention to the Tuning Fork as well, in terms of getting extra block by making sure that the Tuning Fork is on a good number. That's something I just haven't really been doing because it takes a lot of mental energy counting those cards, and I think that's better spent elsewhere. Anyways, Dual Cast wins the fight, and we took no damage on that elite fight. Eternal Feather will heal me back to full, which is pretty nice. And then here, I could take FTL to cycle through the deck a little faster. Compile Driver also cycles through the deck a little faster. I think card draw is good, so I will take the Compile Driver. And like I said, I want my deck to be pretty thick going into the Doormaker fight, because we don't have something that will give us really powerful long-term value. So while normally you want to thin your deck a lot, going into these late-game bosses that eat cards, having redundant damage sources can be pretty important. So that's something to keep in mind. There are always times to break every rule. Looking at my upgrades here, so Hologram, I could upgrade to remove the exhaust, which could let me replay some of my powerful cards pretty frequently. Null, extra weakness is good. Chill, not exhausting, is pretty nice. Capacitor, giving me another orb slot, is more like permanent value. I think in this, for the fight that we're going into, I think I'm going to upgrade Capacitor, because having one more orb slot will let me get one more Darkness Orb, which is kind of our plan for fighting the Doormaker. So upgrading Capacitor, I think, is going to be the most helpful. And then let's go into the first boss fight here. Alright, so I'm pretty happy to play Coolant and Smokestack on the first turns. I want to not play the Apparitions, so we're going to redraw those. Yeah, so let's cycle through here. And the reason I would really like to Signal Boost Defragment, probably, to give myself the most focus. So I'm pretty happy to just play these powers early as well. So let's just get those out here. We'll play Go for the Eyes. Doesn't really matter. I could Hologram to exhaust the Hologram, but there's nothing I want to redraw, so we'll reshuffle Hologram as well. Alright, so then I have the Doormaker here. All of my skills are going to get exhausted when I play them this turn. Glacier, I don't mind exhausting. I don't really want to exhaust Overclock. I could also upgrade Glacier before playing it with Blessing of the Forge. Exhausting Lightning Orb this early does remove a lot of the potential damage that I can have as well. So I'm not happy with that, but I think that I'm just going to play Glacier here. We'll take a big hit, and we'll play Loop. And then I'm going to avoid exhausting the rest of these cards. And actually, it's not that big a hit. It's only 5 damage. Here, I can go... I can't draw this turn. And we're taking 35. So that's pretty bad, because I don't have an easy way to block any of this damage. I'll always be playing Signal Boost. I guess I'm always playing Focus Strike. Compile Driver, we don't draw. So pretty much we just have to take a huge hit this turn, thanks to a relatively rough draw. And again, there's no need to use Blessing of the Forge here. So losing all of my health this early is pretty painful, of course. This turn, I can block all the damage with Fight Through. That will cost me 2 energy. I could play Cool-Headed and try to draw into something like Defragment. I want to play Defragment next turn, and I do want to get the Null out there. Unfortunately, if I play Null, I can't play any other cards. Also, this hand seems like a decent one to just upgrade everything as well. With Blessing of the Forge, so I will do that, I think. Because then the dual cast I can play for free after I play all my other cards. So let's play fight through. This will cost 2, put 2 wounds in the draw pile, but it's going to help me block all the damage. Or do I just null and then play dual cast? Actually, that's maybe better. So I'm going to spend all 3 of my energy here, but we get 3 turns of weakness on the enemy, and then I actually don't even need to play dual cast. I can leave the Frost Orb. We just block all of this damage. Now, we did lose dexterity, because this enemy does that. I don't want to play Thunder this turn. We exhaust every card that we play, so let's go ahead and play... I mean, Chill, I'm happy exhausting. Defend, I'm happy exhausting. So I'll exhaust those 2. Thunder, I don't want to use my signal boost on Thunder here. I think I'm okay exhausting a charge battery, and we'll just pass the turn here. Trying to set up for a fairly large defragment and capacitor and everything. And we still have apparitions for the later stages of the fight because of the order in which we played our cards. So now I'm going to play double defragment. We don't draw any cards, so we are losing the value there. But I can play capacitor, I can play apparition, and I can play cool-headed. And actually, let me use my Essence of Darkness before I play cool-headed here. Because that'll keep 1 Frost Orb, but start ticking up these Dark Orbs as well for more damage. And then this turn, I can go Hotfix, which costs me an energy, so I want to do that at the end. I would like to play 2 cards. We don't have any statuses in hand to compact, so I probably am playing Defend, Lightning Rod, and Hotfix as my cards here. So Defend, Lightning Rod, Hotfix. And then we don't take any damage. The Dark Orbs are still ticking up. This turn, anything that I play gets exhausted, but we are planning to end this fight relatively soon. So I think I'm okay exhausting Overclock here. So I'm going to play that, and then... Okay, now I have the Apparition, so I don't need to play as many cards this turn. So I can play Apparition, and then I can exhaust both Defends, which I don't really want in the deck anyways. Then we cycle through, trigger 1 Dark Orb. This turn I can't draw, but I can play Apparition, I can play Thunder, I can play Focused Strike. And I could Turbo to play Compile Driver. We can't draw a card, so Turbo putting a Void in the deck I think is worse than just not doing that 5 damage. So I think that's fine. Also note that our upgraded loop, is making these Dark Orbs massive. Every time they get to the end, they trigger twice at the beginning of the turn. This turn, we lose an energy whenever we play a card. Let's start with Compile Driver, because I draw 3 cards off of that. I can play Go for the Eyes, but that would cost me an energy, so I need to play something that costs an energy first. So let's, I guess, play Focused Strike here. Then I can play Go for the Eyes. I can dual cast the 90 damage Orb, which seems pretty good, because that's free. And then we can play Zap. And then we take another hit here. So I am losing some health going into the... Oh no, it died. Okay. I did the math wrong. I thought I was taking a little more damage there, but we killed it. We kept 38 health. And that's the Doormaker fight down. Because we zapped it 3 times and we had the parrying shield damage as well, which I keep forgetting about. That's really funny. Okay, so great fight there, and let's see if we can continue with the test subject. So this enemy, I definitely want Go for the Eyes. This enemy is going to gain strength whenever I play a skill. So I want to either kill it really fast, which is hard for this deck to do, or focus mostly on playing powers early. This is a tough fight, though, for sure. And a discard, Chill, and pile driver. Well, I don't think we need to set up capacitor. I'm definitely keeping go for the eyes. I could keep null for more weakness as well. I think I'm gonna keep the null because that's one of our ways to kill the enemy quickly. So we'll keep go for the eyes and null here. And then I'll play go for the eyes. I'll play apparition because it prevents a bunch of damage, even though it does give the enemy 3 strength, so you have to be a little careful with that. But then we'll also play a null, keeping it weak for a long time, and we only take 1 this turn. Then this turn, fight through is enough block. Let's start with compile driver, drawing 2 cards. Zap is a skill, so you usually don't want to play it in this fight. I definitely want to get loop into play, and lightning orb can kill the enemy a little faster by starting to channel some lightning. Charge battery gives me more energy to potentially kill it faster next turn. We will draw into our apparitions as well, so maybe I just play charge battery here. We'll take 1 if I play that. Oh no, because I had the tuning fork as well. Given that I have tuning fork, do I want to play zap? Probably. So I'm giving the enemy a lot of strength, but we still have 2 apparitions in the deck, and I want to burn it down relatively quickly here. This turn, I can go defragment, drawing 2 cards. Now I have the apparition. I don't have hotfix in the yard. I could pick up zap or something like that, but let's play apparition and coolant, and then I'm not going to give it more strength by playing one of these other skills. We're just going to take 1 again. That seems better. Like, I could block 1 damage, but I think giving this enemy more strength when we're not guaranteed to draw into apparition this turn is really dangerous, so I want to be careful not to do that. I did avoid signal boosting my defragment in this fight, which against the test subject I think is okay, but definitely a little dangerous. Let's go with cool-headed first. That does give it more strength, but it triggers the lightning orb here. I have apparition. I can kill the enemy with dual cast, so that's probably the play. And then I just get to play smokestack into signal boost, because I still haven't played capacitor. I'd rather signal boost capacitor than smokestack. So yeah, so we're gonna kill it this turn. Now we don't have to worry about playing skills anymore, which is nice. And then we're letting 1 apparition timeout as well, but playing it this turn wouldn't do anything anyways, so we'll just play smokestack, and then we'll play signal boost. So 33 damage incoming this turn. We'll play hotfix, we'll play overclock. In that order, because I want to redraw a hotfix, of course. Null is a bunch of weakness, which is pretty good against this enemy. Let's start with cool-headed here. See what I draw into. I'm going to play the chill as well. So currently I'm taking too much damage, right? So I can't really afford to play null, because the 2 weakness would decrease this damage by 30, would decrease it by 9, because it would change in the 11 into an 8. Which means that we would be taking 24 damage, and we do have 24 block, and I believe that's right for null here. If I add a bunch of wounds also, with the painful stabs, it's actually not the end of the world. Oh, I do have tuning fork as well, coming up. But I think that this, yeah, changes that into an 8. And then, oh, and we evoke an orb as well. So we have plenty of block now. You can tell I'm getting a little bit, like, fatigued at the end of the run here, because I just did this run all in one sitting, which I often don't. So some of the counting, some of the accounting is a little bit more difficult. We'll play hotfix here, and we'll play defend, defend. I'm going to play Compact as well to count my Tuning Fork back up. Uh, 55 damage incoming this turn is pretty brutal, but we do have Go for the Eyes here, which is pretty important. I can also hologram back Hotfix for more block, which is probably what we're going to be doing. So that's 40 total damage, so let's hologram back. I could also hologram back Turbo, and that would let me play all of these cards, or I could pick up Overclock, but I think Hotfix is going to be the best here. Just more block this way, and I can play Dual Cast on a Frost Orb. Now we've got plenty of block, and then I can play Lightning Rod. I don't have to play Fight Through here, because we're only taking 40, so this is more than enough block and sets up Lightning Rod to start doing damage. I should have thought more at the start of this fight about making sure that I signal boosted Defragment, but the turn that we played the Defragment, we needed to draw, and we needed the extra value there, so I think it was better to do it this way. So now I'm going to go Compile Driver, drawing 3, because we, again, need to block 48 damage. I can play Zap to evoke a Frost before playing Capacitor. And I do want to play the Capacitor. So I'm going to play the Zap here. I don't need to play Null this turn, so let's play Capacitor, double casting that for more orb slots, and then I'll play Thunder. And then we are taking a bunch of damage this turn because I don't have enough Frost Orbs. Let's give weakness to this enemy. Then I'll play Cool-Headed here, drawing a couple cards. I'll play Compact. Well, let's play Compile Driver first. We'll play Hotfix. This fight has just taken too long. I need to draw into Dual Cast to kill it with the Dark Orb, but at least I set up a bunch of powers. And this was what I was worried about by not having enough scaling, is that things got a little bit more dangerous here. I don't have any other card draw, so let's play Compact first. And then we'll play Fuel here. Then I'm taking currently 48 damage, and we have 21, 27 block currently. So I will need to play Turbo. And I'm going to play Focused Strike, Charge Battery, Lightning Rod. And then I do need to play Fight Through as well. And I believe, yeah, Dual Cast is still in the deck. So I can play that to win the fight here. So let's do that to end this stage of the fight where the enemy just gets consistently stronger, which is very important to do. I'll play Glacier. I'll play Overclock as well. I want to draw into my Void this turn, if possible, to get it out of the deck. So we'll just do a bunch of card draw. All right, we cycle through the Wounds, which is still fine. And then, sure, we'll play the Hotfix. Then we're back on this turn. The enemy has 33 damage coming towards me, but now I have a full track of Frost Orbs, so we're in much better shape. Let's start with Cool-Headed here. It's intangible this turn, so I don't need to do that much damage, but we're still in good shape. Let's get rid of some of these wounds that I had to add to the deck. I want to play the Fuels after I play cards. Well, even if I draw Void, it's still fine, because we're gaining an energy off the Fuel. So I'll play Fuel first, and then I'll play another one. Then I can play Null, which is important to get rolling on this enemy, weaken it, as well as get the Dark Orb going. And then I can play Compile Driver, trying to draw into Null, and we do have Turbo to keep playing cards if I need those. And I do want to actually play the Turbo here, so that I can get Charge Battery, Compile Driver, again, trying to draw Void. Oh, I should have played Lightning Rod first. I should have played the Lightning Rod before the compile driver, because then I wouldn't have wasted an energy drawing the Void. So mistake there. But we get the Void out of the deck. I just missed out on one Lightning Rod. Alright, this turn the enemy can actually take damage, which is good. So we'll definitely be playing Go for the Eyes. I'll play Overclock as well. Draw 3 cards here. I've got 3 unique orbs, so I can play Compile Driver. We did draw into Void, but we still have Turbo in hand, so it's okay. I would love to draw into Compact while we have the Void in hand, because it's going to etherealize anyways, so we might as well get it. Do I want to play Focus Strike first? Am I playing that this turn? I probably am. So let's play Focus Strike, and then I can play Cool-Headed here. And then we can play Turbo. And now we're at the point where we can cycle through our deck every turn, which is great. I do want to get another Dark Orb starting to tick, I think, as well. So let's play Null here and Charge Battery. And I guess I will play a Zap and start moving these orbs down the track a bit. Alright, nice. Good Compact turn. So we will play Compact here. Enemy is intangible this turn, but let's play Fuel, and we'll play Fuel again. We'll play Hotfix, and I will play the Glacier to cycle through. I'll also play 2 Defends so that we can get Tuning Fork set up for next turn as well. It puts a bunch of burns in the deck, but we do have Compact. And then here we can go Defend Lightning Rod. Have plenty of block. And now we're spinning through a little faster. I don't have any card draw, so we'll start with Compact here. Just get one of these burns out, and then we'll play Fuel. This turn, then, I can play Glacier, spinning the Orb Track again, and we can play Charge Battery. Ticking up our Tuning Fork, and now we've got the Dark Orb at the front, so it's going to get double looped as well. And then when I trigger it next turn, the enemy will no longer be intangible, so we can do a bunch of damage with that. Here, I've got only 3 energy because we drew the Void, but I can still play Null for some weakness, keeping that going, and then I will play Lightning Rod. We're going to waste the damage from this Dark Orb. Nothing I can do about that, though. Because of the Lightning Rod pushing the track through. I guess I could have just not played Lightning Rod, but I think it was still right to play it. We'll play Go for the Eyes here. We'll play Compile Driver, drawing some cards. I'll play Cool-Headed. And then I could play Compile Driver, try to cycle through to more cards. Do I still have... I still have Hotfix and Turbo in the deck, and Overclock and Zap, so a lot of zeros. So drawing cards here is pretty good, so I am going to play Compile Driver. I also currently have 29 block for 36 damage, so I need to get some more block. Dual Cast would be worth 14 block, and then -4, so plus 10, which would be 39 block for 36 incoming damage. So Dual Cast is safe. If I play this card and draw none of my zeros, if I play Compile Driver and draw none of my zeros, then we take damage. So I guess I should play Dual Cast here, actually. Oh, and we're taking 40 damage, actually. So this way I take 1. So I would have drawn into Overclock and been able to draw my whole deck, so I would have taken 1 less damage last turn if I'd gone with that play, but I think the play we made was safer. Let's start with Overclock. And then I can play Hotfix and Focused Strike. And I can play Cool-Headed. Actually, I'm going to play Turbo first, because even though this maybe makes me draw a Void, adding turbo to the deck on average is more energy because we can also redraw the turbo. And then here I can play Zap and Glacier. And do we have enough damage? That's 40 damage? No, 32 damage. So it's not quite enough to kill the enemy, even with, as I finally remember the damage from Parrying Shield, we should put it to 1. But we'll play both our defends to tick up Tuning Fork. And then this turn, it dies. All right. Well, that was a fun test subject fight. I was more worried about the Doormaker, but that's why we took the potion, which ended up working out really well. So really glad I made that purchase. Definitely something that you should always consider at late shops in Act 3 is buying a potion to get you through it. This was my first attempt at Ascension 10 with the Defect, and we made it through, so pretty nice to get that win. Let's take a look at our stats here. And looking at the deck, this was a fun deck because it didn't get kind of the end game power that you usually are looking for. So we had to make do. We kind of had to scrape this win together, based on just finding enough cards that we had enough damage, buying a potion for the Doormaker and everything. And that's the kind of run that I think is really fun when you have to really adapt to a run that doesn't go perfectly. Obviously, I'm still learning the character, so there's definitely things I could have done differently here. Maybe taking the Channel Darkness and evoke your leftmost orb power at some point would have made this run easier. But overall, we got there, which means that we played well enough to win. As always, my friends, hope that you enjoyed the run, and of course, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Slay the Spire 2 and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.